Today, I'm going to show you how you as a restaurant can start taking online reservations very simply with ReservePilot. So the first thing you want to do is head over to reservepilot.com. And here is our website showing you the basic information about the service. How it works is you sign up, you define your information, you set up your business hours and tables, and you can start taking reservations. Our service has a lot of features. It will assign the reservations to your table and will choose the smallest table. It will give you a customer database, and you can send promotions and email marketing to your subscribed customers. It will give you a flagging system to reduce no-shows, and there's many more features you can select from. What you want to do is click here, start taking reservations for free, and create an account. It will ask you to verify your email. Here is where you define the information about your venue and your branding. So I've uploaded my logo. Next, you want to define basic information about your venue. Next, you want to define your business hours. For now, I'm going to leave these blank because I want to show you how you can do it from within the app once your venue has been created. Next, it will ask you to define your tables. Now, this is an optional feature. You'll still be able to take reservations even if you choose not to have automatic table assignment. But this is one feature that a lot of restaurants want, and I would recommend you have. But I'll also show you how to do that from within the app, so I'll leave this blank for now. Next, it will ask you to define your reservation settings. For now, I'll leave these as default. Next, you want to define your guest flagging rules. These are rules that allow you to reduce the number of no-shows or cancellations from your guests. So say, if a guest doesn't show up one time, then that customer will have to either require manual approval for their reservations, or their reservations can be automatically rejected, and you can change the number here to suit your needs. But for now, I'll leave this blank as well, and it's the same with this notification settings. I'll leave these as default. This is the first page you will see, and here you have basic information about your account. Now, the first thing we want to do, since we haven't defined our business hours yet, is to go into all settings and on business hours. Here we'll be able to define our business hours. What we can do is we can define business hours for default for the entire venue, or we can define it for a specific area. So if we define these business hours in main dining, these hours will only apply to the main dining area. So for now, let's define these in default, and let's say we open 9 to 5 every single day. We have the business hours now for each day. The next thing that you want to do if you're using table assignments is to go here to floor plan and to add in your table. Now let's say I don't want my area to be called main dining. I'm actually going to edit this and say we're going to have two areas, one indoors and another one outdoors. But let's say I don't want outdoors to be reservable online, so I can only assign guests to the outdoors area if I do it manually myself on the system, but I don't want guests to be able to book online. I simply uncheck this button and make it not reservable online. So now, within indoors, we're going to define some tables. I'm going to define 3 tables. And what I'm also going to do is I'm also going to define a table chain. Now, a table chain is an optional thing that you can have which will assign a reservation to a chain of tables if there are no tables available. So let's say 1, 2, and 3 will be in our table chain, and I will call this table chain 1, 2, 3. Each of these tables has a maximum party size of 4, but this table chain has a maximum party size of 12, because you can add all those tables together. If a guest has a party size of 12, they will be able to accommodate that. Now within outdoors, I'm also going to add 3 tables. You can define as many areas as you want. So you can have one area for the whole restaurant, or you can have multiple areas that guests can book, or as here, you can have one area where guests can book and another area outdoors where booking is not available. Now that we've defined this, let's go into all settings and reservation limits. And we want to scroll down here and go to this reservation approval section. This determines how your reservations are approved. Do you want them to be automatically assigned to tables? And how do you want them to be accepted? So there's an option, accept all, except If table is available, accept if table is available. Otherwise, you will have to accept them manually or put every reservation in a waiting list where they will require manual approval. Now I'm going to say accept if table is available, and that's the default setting. If you're doing this without defining your tables, you will need to click here and press accept all and save your setting. If you have this setting checked, it will only allow a guest to reserve if a table is actually available at that time. So next, since we have this table, which is able to seat 12 guests, we'll want to increase the maximum party size here. Default is 10, so we want to increase it to 12. The next thing we want to do is go back on all settings and go on link and embed. This is where you will find your link, your booking page, and your embed code. Your embed code is where you have your widget, so if you copy and paste this code into your website, it will display a booking widget in your website. However, if you want to use a reservation URL instead and just share it directly with your guests, that's available as well. Now let's go on our reservation URL. So here's our booking page. As you can see, there's the indoors area, which we've ticked as being reservable online, and there's the outdoors area, but this is not visible to the guest. So we click on indoors. Let's say a guest will choose party size of 2, and they want a book for May 19th. And let's say they want a book at 9, and then they'll fill out their details. So this is what the guest will see. They'll also receive an email with the reservation confirmation, and you will also receive an email on your end showing that you have a new reservation. And here, they're able to send messages to you, and you're able to see them. So, if we head back now on here and click on Schedule View, this shows our schedule for today. We have no reservations for today, so we'll go to tomorrow. And here, we can see our reservation, which has just been made. So Roy James and 2 guests. And here you'll see all of the information. Now let's say I don't want my guest to be able to message me. In that case, head to all settings and go on Customize Reservation page. Untick Allow Guest Messages. Click Save Changes. Now, when the guest gets their reservation confirmation, it will just be this. There will be no messaging available. Let's go back again and see what happens when a guest wants to book with a party size of 12. Now we have this guest on a table chain, and now these 3 tables won't be reservable for the time that the guest is there. Now what happens in the case where a guest overstays the default duration time, and you don't want to accept reservations because it will clash with the existing reservation? In that case, you just click on here. Extend their time limit. Let's say they want to stay till 2 p.m. instead of 1 p.m., and it will just extend their time. And now, these 3 tables won't be reservable in this period as well. Now let's go on to customers. And here is where you'll see a list of all of your customers. Your customer now has no flag, but if there are any problems, you can add this warning flag, which shows that a guest has been warned for your own information. You can click this manual acceptance required, which means that from now on, this guest, which has this email or these phone numbers, will no longer be able to book except with manual acceptance. Now let's see what happens when we flag this guest with manual acceptance required. So he's been flagged now, and let's do the same thing again. This time, the guest gets this information. It says your reservation is currently waiting confirmation from the venue. And how you actually accept this reservation, you go here, and you will get this icon here. And you can either accept it or reject it here. Now the other thing I'll show you is the calendar view. Here on the calendar view, you will see all of the reservations from a monthly perspective. So here we have no reservations on any day except from the 18th. Click on here, you will see we have 3 total reservations and 16 guests. So this calendar view is just an overview you can get of your reservation. Now here is the list view. List view allows you to search reservations in intervals. You will get all of your reservations here, and you will see all of their details. We can search by name, we can search by area, we can search by status, we can search if they're awaiting acceptance. So here, if we want to see all of the reservations awaiting acceptance, I will be able to accept them or reject them. So let's go for a deep dive in this reservation limit settings because this is the most important setting. Again, it's going to depend on your setup. Default duration is how long the reservation takes. Default is 120 minutes. If you have a high turnover rate in your venue, you might want to set it to 30 minutes or 60 minutes. But I recommend keeping it safe at 120 minutes. Booking slot interval, again, it means in what intervals can your guests book? If you choose 5 minutes, it means they'll be able to book at 10, 10:05, etc. If you choose 30 minutes like I have, they'll be able to book at 10, 10:30, 11, and so on. Minimum party size, maximum party size, reservation notice in days. So, do you want same-day reservations? If yes, then set this to 0. If you want days notice before your reservations, then you need to set this higher. Let's say I only want people who book 5 days in advance. I would set this to 5 days in advance. Reservation notice in minutes. 30 here means you have to book at least 30 minutes in advance, and you can set this time to however much you want. This days in advance for reservations means that the number of days in advance that a reservation can be made. So from now on until 90 days in the future, a reservation can be made, but they cannot make a reservation 91 days in the future. Then we have this advanced capacity limits. Now I just recommend setting this to no limit, but this is up to you. This is actually better for venues who are using ReservePilot without defining their tables. So let's say we weren't going to define our table. Let's say we were going to do accept all here and not assign anything to tables. Then in order to decrease the chance that we're going to have overcapacity or overbooking, we'd say per slot we can have, I don't know, this will depend obviously on your venue. We'll have 5 reservations per slot and let's say 30 guests or something. You know, this is completely up to you. But it's more geared towards restaurants who aren't using the table management. But I'm going to set this to no limits. And I'm going to set this back to how it was. So this is a basic overview of ReservePilot. You define your branding, you define your reservation settings. So now for the free tier, which is what I'm on now, you get 100 reservations per month. ReservePilot is quite young, there are new features coming up, and we're always looking for your input and advice on the features. So in any case, we would be happy if you would email us and let us know what things you would want us to add. One last thing I will do is say, how do you add reservations yourself? So somebody walks in, and now you want to make sure that this table is no longer bookable online because it's reserved by the person who's walked in. What you do is just click here at the top, add reservation, and you fill in the details. You fill in the date and time, you select the table, and you can choose here whether to send them the email notification or not. Maybe if you get a call in, someone wants to reserve in the future, you will tick send email notification, but somebody's a walk-in, you wouldn't tick that necessarily. And so that's basically an overview of ReservePilot. It gives you a lot of features out of the box, a generous free tier with 100 reservations per month, and we're always improving and adding on. So that's a simple overview of how you can easily take reservations as a restaurant online. Thanks for watching.